Welcome, everybody, to the April 13th meeting of the Commission on Aging Well. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and our first agenda item is the approval of minutes. Does anybody have any additions and corrections to what Jill sent out? If not, do I hear a motion for approval?
I would move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. No public appearances, so we'll move on to our agenda item, the draft programming policy.
Okay, so I wanted to create, we had a sort of a program policy, a presenter policy in the past, but I wanted to kind of narrow it down a little bit to make sure that if we offer a presentation, what I would consider an educational presentation, that some people might be opposed to the topic, and some examples might be a climate change, or, you know, maybe voting issues, or information about a leader from a different country that, you know, people have different views about. So I just wanted to have some kind of policy in place that, you know, says what it says about this. Doesn't necessarily represent the views of the senior center, but it's just sort of an educational opportunity. In opposing views, you know, we welcome that dialogue. So Pam actually and I worked on this last month a little bit. So I haven't even run it by the attorney yet or anything, because I wanted to bring it to, obviously, the commission to get your thoughts about having a policy like this. And so open for discussion today.
In reading this over, I had a problem with the sentence that speakers may not advocate action or urge attendees to take action. I can see situations where that would be appropriate, but I also hesitate to put that in print, because sometimes we have a program that we are really advocating action. For example, if we had somebody come in from Aging Americans Association, and they would like to, that they might promote seniors taking action by writing their congressperson or something. And this could be misconstrued too, like for Kathy and I were signed up for the dance class, Dance for Balance, and she advocated action where we were to go home and practice dancing on our own. You know, I think there are situations where programs really, we do want them to take action, like healthy procedures. We could have an educational program on healthy procedures, but you know, you can say these are good procedures for good health, but the reason we have the healthy program is we're promoting them to take some action to be a healthier person. So at any rate, okay. I had some problems with that wording, and I can see, you know, somebody coming in and having a meeting and saying, okay, now I want you to go down to the state capitol with your machine guns, and that kind of promotion of action would not be appropriate. So maybe there's a way of carefully doctoring the wording of that would prevent people from bad action, but still allow us to promote action for the good health of our clients.
Do we see a difference between programs and outside speakers?
I think it's kind of the wording of it, kind of. I was thinking about that, like the dance classes, seems like it's something people pay for and they know what they're getting into possibly. But I'm not sure the verbiage of how to separate, say like an educational opportunity versus a speaker on Putin, which is kind of where this is coming from, is there was some, when we had a speaker come and talk about the history of Putin, and it was before Ukraine and all of that, and it was more of just, who is this man, and what is his history, and how did he rise to power? But it raised a few eyebrows about, well, maybe that's not a good idea, he's a dictator, and he's this and that. And so I didn't really have a policy to fall back on to say, if, again, if it's something that you're certainly opposed to, you don't have to come. If it's a topic that you're interested in, it really wasn't a topic that was going to be debated or anything. It was just primarily education about a person that, people certainly know about. I hesitate to take, I think that, and again, I wasn't sure, do I take it to the attorney? Do I take it to you guys first? There'll be a lot of back and forth. Speakers may not advocate action or urge attendees to take action. I worry a little bit about taking that out because of the so many discussions I've had with the city attorney about the advocacy that I do on the legislative side, is I can't urge people to take action. I can share information. I might say, if you are for or opposed to this legislation, I encourage you to reach out to your legislator. But I don't even think I can say that anymore. I can just say, here's some information. So if I'm going to talk about Aging Advocacy Day today, where we go to the Capitol and talk to our legislators about bills or legislation that we feel would be beneficial for older adults. Can I urge you to do that? I have to be very careful. And so I understand what you're saying, so I'm not sure. That would definitely be an attorney question. Yeah.
I had that same thought though, Jim. I noted both for individual wellness or for financial wellness, that there would be some pieces that we would embrace where we do have a speaker that does encourage action. I thought of when you brought Dr. Zorba in to this room, and he made a number of recommendations that did involve action on our part. They weren't political in nature.
Correct. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's if it's related specifically to you as an individual. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's the word advocacy, because he is recommending or suggesting or something.
Yeah,
like
there's a
that,
difference. Is there a difference, like the wording of advocacy versus recommending? Feels like it, kind of. Advocacy feels like it's a call to take action, where recommending is, here's our recommendations as an expert. I don't know. That's why we're here.
Yeah, it's a hairy one.
That's a hairy one. Yeah.
Slippery slope.
Yeah.
But I would recommend you keep something in. I'm not suggesting that it shouldn't be there. I would agree with this concept.
I would agree too. I guess I would love to see the lawyer's take on this
For sure.
before we're able to put a stamp of approval on the sentence
yeah.
or anything else.
Right.
But I'm kind of on the fence where that's concerned.
This isn't about that sentence, but the senior center is committed to offering inclusive programs. Now, I'm interpreting that to mean that we have, you're going to be avoiding someone saying only certain people can attend this program. And I think that's an important point. Is it clear? So we can't say, okay, if you don't agree with this opinion, you can't come to our program. If you aren't the right race or religion or whatever, you can't come to this program. And that's something I think you're trying to avoid too. So does that word inclusive
Does that
clarify
define it enough? We could maybe get rid of it?
No, I think unique, I think that's an important concept to make. I'm just wondering if this clarifies it enough, so people understand that's the point, that inclusivity is not just the way you think, but it's who you invite into the room.
Right, and, even though my group is called the men's group and your group is called the women's group, I have had women come to the men's group meetings, and when you've had
too,
men
yeah.
come to the women's group meetings, so that is inclusive.
Right.
And I think it's important that we add that in, and like the LGBT program.
Right.
Or like the meditation programs,
Or the veteran, we've got
the
a
veterans,
veterans.
yeah.
Right. So you feel if we better explain or maybe go into more detail about
No, I was
that?
just, a question I had.
Oh,
It was just
okay.
a general question, because I understand what you're trying to do, and I knew.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if other people who hadn't had this discussion would have the same.
Our church used the language opening and inclusive.
Open and inclusive? Does that, besides Linda, did that make sense to you, the inclusive? Did that feel like it was enough? Paul? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. But we could say open, for people that open, well, I guess we're sort of restating it, open to all and inclusive. But I can look at the definition of inclusive and maybe spell it out a little better. So there's really a lot of clarity of what that means. And, I guess those are programs, when we look at the Veterans Social Group and men's group and women's group and, the lesbian social group, those would be considered programs as well. They're not just groups. So this would encompass those groups. Okay.
Anything else on this?
Oh, Paul's got a.
Yeah, have there been other instances where this has come up besides
No.
presentation on Putin? No?
No, that was the one that really kind of made me look at the presenter policy, which kind of encompassed the political candidate thing. It was kind of all encompassing, but it didn't really say enough, I thought,
Yeah.
to really kind of drill down. No, that was really it in terms of that, and just. There's been questions about are these other groups that are more specific open to all, and we want to make sure that people do know that they are. And if somebody showed up to a group, somebody came to the Veterans Social Group and they're very anti-war, and maybe they were, grew up during the Vietnam War, and they just, and they came to cause a ruckus, like, what, this is silly or whatever. We have a behavior policy that then we could fall back on to say,
Right.
you know what, this is behavior that's unacceptable. You're welcome to sit quietly, maybe you don't. But if they're there to intimidate, to harass, to make people feel uncomfortable, then they don't belong there. But we haven't had that issue.
Yeah. Do you make that call, Jill, if someone calls and says, I'd like to speak to your group? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Or Dave and I kind of work together to
Okay. But someone just doesn't call and it gets scheduled somehow?
say that again.
So someone who wants to speak
Uh-huh.
doesn't just call and get scheduled by a receptionist or
Oh,
something?
no.
Okay.
They would, we look, sometimes have you spoken other places, what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of do a little background on the person and, yeah.
I do kind of like the open and inclusive, because that implies anybody can attend. Inclusive means we'll have programs on any topic that represents the demography, but it doesn't necessarily mean anybody can attend. The open kind of implies that one step further.
Awesome, okay. All right. Okay, so, again, I didn't know which direction to put this, so I thought I'd get your information first, and then draft it and send it to the attorney and get her, and then bring it back here. Yeah, for sure.
Great start.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
awesome.
Next, we have a report from the Senior Center Friends. Gail?
We are all working on the pancake breakfast, which will be April 23rd from 8 to 12. Hope everyone can come and bring their family and friends. We have been getting some donations from various groups, and a list of those will be included in the newsletter later on. We had quite a large, unusually large amount paid out for our monthly payments this month. Special needs identified by the social workers totaled $148.57. Scholarships for programs, so there were 5 scholarships for $150. We had subscription to the Wisconsin State Journal for $28 and refreshments for the Her Story event for $225. And then the 2 big ones were the website development and Google domain for $540. And then the architecture and planning for the patio, our second payment, second of our 50% allocation that we voted on, and for the 3D rendering was $5,937.50. So all of those should total $7,029.07. Let's see what else there is. As most of you have seen, the signs are out for the pancake breakfast too, so we are keeping those out until the day after. Hopefully the rain this weekend won't affect things too bad. Leslie and Marcia, who are working on the pancake breakfast, Leslie is the chairman, did an interview with Fact TV, and I watched it last night, and that went real well. Let's see, travel. Mayflower has extended the free air travel for the 2023 river cruises. The American Heritage of the East is the next tour, and Ruth Hellenbrand will be doing a presentation to the Senior Center about available day trips, which are typically for a 2 to 2.5 hour bus ride. They never go further than Chicago, and the date for that has not been set yet, though, as far as I know.
Is she theater bus?
Yes. Yeah, director of theater bus.
Okay.
Let's see. Money is still needed for the patio. It has been placed out for bids. And Earl now has the website for the Senior Center Friends, a link to the city website, and Oak Bank is planning on linking a QR code, which goes directly to our donation page. I think that's about all. Thank you.
One item on the pancake breakfast. I know Tuesday when I was in the kitchen, Mandy was looking for additional people to help. We're expecting a big crowd, and we need extra pancake flippers, or people that are going to help mix up the batter and stuff like that. So if anybody is interested, they can contact Mandy to volunteer for that. I think that there are 3 shifts. The one shift is, I think, 7:30 to 9:30, and one's 9:30 to 11:30. Is that right?
I believe I believe something like that. But I know that the shifts are only 2 hours long. They were going to be longer, but we decided to cut them back to just 2 hours. And we do need more pancake flippers. You'll have your own little station and it should work out fine. We do expect a large crowd, and if people come, don't worry about the long lines. We'll get you through really fast, and we have lots of tables set up all over, upstairs and downstairs. There will be everything set up, so we're looking forward to having everyone come and have a great time. So,
Joe? You had something to say about that?
I was just going to expand a little bit about the Oak Bank and the QR code. A big thanks to Earl. That's a great website. And so if you do go to our homepage, on the left side is Fitchburg Senior Center Friends, and then it'll take you to their site. They figure out, or they have a program that they can collect donations online, which was, I think, critical, so people can support the Friends easily online. And then Oak Bank, they were, during when we lost our caterer, they were really supportive and collected money and bought us a lot of food that we could do for home delivered or even congregate if we closed down or during that time. So anyway, they wanted to keep buying us food. And Mandy was like, we don't have any more room. We have a whole food pantry down there, which is amazing. And we've used a lot of it. So Mandy said, really what we could use is money for transportation. And so we talked to the Friends, and they said, well, we really want to. I didn't want to collect it because, as a city department, I don't know where this is going. One day we will have transportation though, but I wanted it protected in the Friends account. So we worked with the Friends. So their community banking month is April. And so they chose the Fitchburg Senior Center Friends as their nonprofit. And so people can just donate right to the Friends, and then that money will be allocated for transportation. So there is a QR code on all the information that Oak Bank is sending out, and they have a little blurb about the Friends, and so you can just donate and it'll go right to the Friends. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, director's report.
All right. So yeah, if you do any more promoting for that pancake breakfast, I'm going to have a heart attack because I think it's just going to be huge. It's going to be great. And we have served up to 600 before, so, but that's a lot of pancakes to flip. But this committee has really done a great job. Just my interactions with them, and super independent, taking charge, bringing in lots of sponsorships. And so it's a great group. So thanks for all that work. And that's next Sunday already. Biggest event is we came in yesterday morning and there was a huge water break, and it completely destroyed the social work office. The ceiling caved in. There was standing water front to back that then seeped into the receptionist area front to back, that then seeped into the Sain room, just sort of in a certain area up front. So it was quite a day yesterday, and it's going to be quite, well, you know how that is, being relocated. So quickly, a lot of city people came down, assessed the situation. They had a restoration company come in, I think by noon. So the social workers got relocated to their old office down the hallway between Mandy and I. So IT was able to get them connected pretty quick. Susie is sitting in the library on a table, working from there, because it sounds like an airplane hangar with the airplanes on. There's just a huge amount of fans down there right now. There was a lot of damage, so much so that they possibly will have to take down part of the wall, the drywall, and so there's a lot of work to be done, pulling up the carpet, and so they said be prepared for a couple months. So we'll be looking at moving a lot of programs around, and so today the social workers and everybody's pitching in, just trying to find space for all their stuff, files, and so they don't have a home right now, so. But anyway.
What was the cause of the break?
They said something about the pipes cracked when it got really hot out. So. But don't quote me on that. It wasn't the sprinklers, it was the boiler pipes.
The boiler pipe.
So, I could. We walked in. Well, Bandy's got some pictures online, I think, on our Facebook page. But it was, had Katie been sitting there, God only knows what would have happened. So everything on her desk, which was closest to the door, all of her equipment, luckily she had her laptop at home, but her monitors, her phone, everything is completely destroyed. There was a lot of water. So anyway, there we go. So I got a good staff, and we're just kind of rolling with it. So
They figure a couple of months
to get the social workers back in, I think Susie, we might be able to put Susie's area might be sooner than that, but there will be a lot of work to be done in that room. Let's see, just a little recap of the Her story, thanks to the Friends. They helped support that. We had a lot of sponsors, and we had a good showing. And that was our first sort of big celebration of Women's History Month, and we had the 4 panelists, and it was quite an afternoon. And I think it will become an annual event. I really like the idea of celebrating women during Women's History Month. So, and that was a collaborative effort with Newbridge Madison's Diversity and Inclusion Program. So just a lot of different people there, and we got a lot of good feedback, some suggestions, but overall, very successful for our first big event like that. I think we had 150 register in advance. So that was great. Plan for growth, and Linda, I wasn't going to go into a lot of detail about that survey unless you wanted to, but we did put out the Plan for Growth, developed a great survey. It was online, and we had hard copies, and we distributed it throughout the month of March. And so now we're Linda has been really digging through the results and cross-tab. See, I'm not, because I don't even know the right words. She's cross-tabbing everything, and it's going to be really helpful information to kind of see who we're missing, how we might reach out more, interesting demographics of, who are our users. But we still have a lot of users I don't think we captured. And of course, non-users are the hardest to capture, but it's a start. And so I appreciate all the work you did on that and continue to do. So we'll put a little blurb in May's newsletter about the results and kind of just a summary of the data that we collected through that. I don't know if you guys know, through the Friends, the Friends applied through the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative, a grant for transportation, because I really wanted to be able to increase transportation, particularly in the afternoon, so people can stay for programs or we can offer new programs. That Healthy Neighborhood Initiative is a grant through the city, and they distribute money to nonprofits that support people primarily in the areas that are identified through Healthy Neighborhood Initiative, North Fish Hatchery, Ally Drive, over on the other side of Verona Road, and now Southdale. We were not recommended to be put forward as a recipient, and I think, I did go to the H&I meeting, and a couple friends showed up to advocate, to recommend us for funding. I think it's a difficult position because we're a city department, and a lot of the work probably is going to happen within the city department, and they're looking for partners that sort of take the work off the city department. So it wasn't recommended for funding, but I did share my thoughts about that grant, and that it's really a struggle as a city department to have to go outside the city to get funding for something that you need when they're offering funding to other nonprofits in the area. And so maybe that will be taken into consideration. We will see. So anyway, we still are trying to raise money and just get more transportation somehow. As Gail alluded, the patio RFP went out. We did have to pull it back and do an amendment to that because we initially thought we could buy the shade structure, just a sole purchase, a direct purchase, because we would get a discount that way. But then there was some legal things about that, and because it's part of a larger construction process. So we had to amend that, not me, Public Works, thank goodness, to put the shade structure back in. So they put it back out. They're all due on the 13th, but they did extend it. I don't know right now if we have any, April. We wanted the bids back. We want the project done by August 31st. So whomever takes it on, they have to figure out how they can start and finish within that time. So we will see, hopefully, so they did end up extending it I don't know if they did another week or 2 weeks, so I'll reach out to Public Works to see if we have any bids. So that's my biggest concern. So hopefully somebody will want to pick up that project. We just finished the CIP, the Capital Improvement Plan process, and for our department, I submitted, it's sort of a collaborative submission through Recreation and us to replace some of the tables and chairs on the upper level. They're just getting old, and some of the carts and stuff like that. That was to split between 2024 and 2025. And then as a larger CIP is going through Fact TV, but it's to add or enhance our AV equipment. As Linda knows, we have to roll in the projector into the dining room every time we want to do something in there. We do have the electric all set up to put a projector in the ceiling. And so we're hoping to do that. But this big CIP is to add a projector, ceiling projector in the Fitchburg room, make sure the speakers down in the dining room work. So it's a bigger CIP request that encompasses many departments, but we're one of those departments. And then the last one that I submitted is a feasibility study for the rental of the community center. And this is just kind of personally driven, but I have support. You know, it's kind of a cost-benefit analysis of how we rent the rooms and why we rent them. And we've never had anybody come in and really take a look at what does it cost to rent, you know, electricity, staff, equipment replacement, what's the revenue, what's the benefit? And so I'm just really interested in that because I think as we get busier and we want to be more community-minded, it'll just open up some discussion about what is that building supposed to be to who? Do we continue to do, special events and, some weddings or smaller big parties, or is it more neighborhood associations and then expand our programming at night? And so, nobody can really answer that question because we don't really know, and to no fault of anybody's, but because it's never been done, but just a good study that maybe then when the hub is built up on Traceway, which is going to be sort of a community center, that based on this information, if they're looking at renting, we have fees that are reasonable, that are sustainable. We know what it costs per square footage, when you include electricity and lights and everything like that. And just none of us staff are capable of really doing that. So we'll see if that goes through. I want to talk a little bit about Aging Advocacy Day because that is some of my role as the Wisconsin Association of Senior Centers liaison for legislative information. And so we always do an Aging Advocacy Day. Last couple of years it's been virtual, which has been weird. But before that, we go to the state capitol, and it's for people, not just professionals, but individuals across the state to have a chance to talk to their legislators, about legislation that impacts older adults. And the issue briefs that were sort of selected this year, and then it'll be narrowed down for Aging Advocacy Day, voting, just voting opportunities, transportation, the long-term care workforce, which is going to be a huge issue moving forward as we don't have a lot of people to take care of people, and how are we going to deal with that? Housing, affordable housing is an issue. Home-delivered meal services, we're seeing a big increase and not enough funding, which is Older Americans Act money. So that will be one of the issue briefs. Healthy aging grants, those are grants that offer really low cost or free programs that are evidence-based, like Stepping On that we're doing, Living Well with Diabetes, Healthy Living with Chronic Conditions, and there's several other evidence-based programs that are funded through Healthy Aging Grants, which is housed under WIHA, the Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging. Another issue brief is family caregivers. How do states support family caregivers? They've been put forward like, can you write off some of your expenses? If I travel back and forth, to see my parents all the time and I spend a lot of gas and I take off work and that kind of stuff. So they're looking at things to support family caregivers because it's expensive, and I'm lucky to be able to take off work and have sick time, and a lot of people don't. And without caregivers to hire, families are taking on more of those burdens. Falls is an issue brief because falls are very expensive to the state of Wisconsin. And so how do we encourage people to be healthier and be educated around falls and falls prevention? Elder justice, I don't have a lot of information about that issue brief. And then ADRC investment, that's the Aging and Disability Resource Centers. Those are across the state that they do a lot of signing up for benefit programs, and then they'll do short-term case management, and then they might pass off that case management to us. So anyway, they'll narrow these down. It's really fun. You go to the hotel across from the Capitol. They'll do a training. They'll tell you who your legislators are. You have lunch, and then you walk over to the Capitol, and then you get to go into the rooms with people that are in your district, and then one person might speak on an issue brief and someone else. So anyway, that was very long-winded, but you can still sign up and participate.
And what was the date?
May 9th.
May.
May 9th. And the link is in our newsletter if you are interested. So, couple other things. Susie and Katie collaborated to apply for a Dane County grant. It's called the Henry Leck Grant. It goes through the Area Agency on Aging. And they put forward a request to fund a cultural event series. We've done Juneteenth a couple times, and it's always a really fun day. But we wanted to expand that to recognize other holidays. And so the grant was requested to celebrate Juneteenth, Bastille Day, this was a request, Hispanic Heritage Month, the Hmong New Year, and then St. Lucia, which is a Scandinavian holiday. And so each event will, not each event will have everything, but we hope to, the goal is we bring in older adults that represent these cultures, and they share with us their traditions, their foods, their ideas for decorations. So they're very instrumental in the planning. And then we either offer the music, the food, we have a presentation by somebody, or we have an educational handout about that holiday. And then again, we have, traditional food and decorations, and just a time to celebrate and educate people. So I hope that they'll fund this. We'll know by the end of the month. So yeah, it was a good idea. So we'll see. Speaking of Hmong, we have connected with the Hmong Institute. They had received some county money to support Hmongs in rural communities. And so the Hmong Institute has their own place over off of Femrite. There is a Hmong population here in Fitchburg that we really haven't attracted. Obviously, the language is a barrier. I guess a lot of them speak Nepalese. But anyway, we're going to do a Nepalese and English / bingo party on the 27th. You might be working that day. I don't think they're not gonna stay for lunch. What they eat is very different than what we eat. But we are gonna do more with them and hopefully have some of their traditional authentic food because they make all their own food on site. They are their own caterer. They get funding from the county. So just trying to kind of develop this relationship. So we'll have a lot of fun people here on the 27th. And then I'm also working with a volunteer to look at equity and inclusion and look at an equity, like we've gone through a checklist just to make sure that we're serving all and all feel welcome. So it's kind of been a fun process. It doesn't really constitute any policy changes. It just kind of looks at how do we make people feel welcome? And so it's been kind of interesting and educational. So that's it. And then I just wanted to point out, I think it's Linda's last meeting. And thank her. She's not done with us, thank God. But she served 3 full term. And so grateful to have her here. And we have 2 applicants. So I don't know who will be appointed yet. But we'll have a new member come next month, and then we'll probably have a new council liaison as well. Usually that it depends. Sometimes they ask to be back on. Sometimes the new mayor says, let's mix it up. So, but anyway, thank you, Linda. You brought a lot to the commission. Yeah, that is all I have, unless there's questions. I know I just ramble so fast.
Jill, is there any update on meals?
So we are back to consolidated. The only site that wanted to go outside of the Dane County contract was Black Earth. And so they are contracting with a local restaurant or possibly Piggly Wiggly to do their meals. And it makes sense. They're so far away. And they can do it a lot less. They'll save the county a lot of money to just go with their own provider. But everybody else, Stoughton was looking at Stoughton Hospital, but I think that there was some reasons that they were like, I don't think this is going to fit right now. So we're all back to consolidated. And the RFP for the meals that I know of hasn't gone out yet, because Consolidated doesn't want to do it. They want to be done in July. So I haven't heard about that RFP going out yet. So we could get a new caterer. We will get a new caterer unless nobody applies, and the county can, I don't know, mandate that Consolidated continue on. I'm not really sure, but that's the latest.
Okay. Any other announcements? If not, our next meeting will be in May.
Yeah, crazy.
Do you know what date that would be?
Why not put that on there?
At any rate, the second Thursday of May.
Thank you.
And do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the nice weather out
Enjoy
there.
this